always thought I knew everything about my husband, Daniel. After all, we had been married for 10 years. We shared a cozy home tucked in the quiet hills of Oregon, built a life around our 2 wonderful children, and created a rhythm that felt dependable. He was the kind of man who kept things steady, calm, reliable, even predictable. He made grocery lists with itemized sections, color-coded the family calendar, and had an Excel sheet for everything from vacation budgets to monthly grocery expenses. That was Daniel, or so I thought. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened last Tuesday. The morning started just like any other. I was standing at the kitchen counter, coffee in one hand, lazily scrolling through a mountain of unread emails. The kids were already off to school, and Daniel was washing out his cereal bowl like he did every day. Routine, simple, unremarkable. Then, out of nowhere, he leaned over the counter and said, "Can you be ready by 6?" And blinked. For what? He just smiled, this mysterious, almost boyish grin, and said, "You'll see." I remember freezing for a second. Daniel didn't do surprises. This was a man who once emailed me an itinerary for our 10th anniversary weekend, 3 months in advance. The very idea of spontaneity used to make him anxious. So this cryptic invitation. It was wildly out of character. Still, I shrugged it off, assuming it was something simple. A dinner reservation maybe, or tickets to a local play. Sweet, sure, but not earth-shattering. But then 6 o'clock came, and Daniel pulled into the driveway in a sleek black Tesla. Not ours. He stepped out wearing a blazer. Not a jacket, not a hoodie, but a blazer, and opened the passenger door like some leading man in a romantic film. I walked outside slowly, eyes wide. "Whose car is this?" "Just get in," he said with that same grin. So I did. We drove in silence for a while, the hum of the electric car filling the space between us. My thoughts raced. He seemed calm, but I could see the subtle tapping of his thumb on the steering wheel. He was nervous. Eventually, we pulled up to a quiet, ivy-covered brick building tucked away in a secluded part of town. Gold lettering above the door read, "The Franklin House." I stared at it, stunned. I knew of this place. It was one of the most exclusive private dining clubs in the Pacific Northwest, the kind you read about in travel magazines, the kind that had a waitlist a mile long. We had talked about it once, years ago. Daniel had dismissed it. Too extravagant, he had said. Not worth the money. So what were we doing here? I turned to him. "Daniel, what is this?" He looked at me, and for the first time all day I saw it. Vulnerability. A flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "You'll see." Inside, a hostess led us past the clinking of glasses and the hush of whispered conversations to a private dining room lit only by the warm glow of candlelight. Rose petals were scattered across the white linen tablecloth. Everything looked like it had been pulled straight from a movie. Elegant, romantic, deliberate. But it wasn't our anniversary. It wasn't my birthday. I was confused. Then Daniel stood. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. My breath caught in my throat. "Daniel, what?" He got down on one knee. "I've made a lot of mistakes," he began softly, voice shaking just a little. "I've taken you for granted. I let the noise of life, the stress, the routine, drown out the parts of us that matter most. But I've been thinking and I've been working on myself. And more than anything, I want to start over. Not because I have to, but because I choose you. Choose you today. I'll choose you tomorrow. I'll choose you every single day that I get to." He opened the box. Inside was a new wedding ring. Simple, elegant, but breathtaking. "Will you marry me again?" I didn't have words. I couldn't speak. The tears came before the answer did. I nodded, barely able to whisper, "Yes." And when he slid that ring onto my finger, it felt like time stood still. Everything else, the candlelight, the petals, the hushed music drifting in from the hallway, blurred into the background. There was only us. We ate dinner like 2 people falling in love for the first time. The food was flawless. Delicate courses of things I couldn't pronounce, but I barely tasted it. My entire being was wrapped up in him. In this moment, after dinner, he took me for a walk under the stars. We wandered through quiet streets hand in hand, like we used to before kids and deadlines and dishes. And then, in the stillness, he told me the rest. He'd been going to therapy, secretly, for almost a year. He said he wanted to understand himself better, to figure out why he'd grown distant, why he'd stopped reaching for my hand at night, why he'd stopped seeing the beauty in what we had. And he'd been working overtime, not to buy something flashy, but to save for this. For one night that might remind us that we were still worth fighting for. That night, I saw a version of Daniel I hadn't seen in years. The romantic, the dreamer, the man who once asked me to dance in a grocery store aisle because our song came on overhead. I had underestimated him. I'd grown too used to the quiet comfort of our routines and missed the quiet ways he had been fighting for us all along. We ended the night back home, sitting on the porch, wrapped in a blanket and sipping hot cocoa. The kids were asleep. No phones, no distractions. Just us, laughing until our stomachs hurt, talking about everything and nothing until the sky began to lighten. In the weeks that followed, everything felt different. We began dating again. Friday night movies, Saturday morning hikes, lazy Sundays tangled in sheets and laughter. He started leaving notes in my lunchbox. A flower on the bathroom counter. A midday text that simply said, "Thinking of you." One evening, while cleaning the garage, I stumbled across an old photo album. I flipped it open and found a picture from our honeymoon. The two of us on a beach in Florida, sun-kissed and smiling, completely unaware of the storms and sunrises that life would bring. I showed it to him. He smiled. "Let's go back," he said. "To Florida." "No," he said, wrapping his arm around me. "Let's go back to that feeling." So we did. We booked the trip. We recreated the photo. Same beach, same pose, but this time older, wiser, more grateful. People ask me now if our marriage is perfect. Well, it's not, but it's real. And real love doesn't just endure, grows. Sometimes it smolders quietly, waiting. And sometimes it reignites in a burst of warmth that takes your breath away. Daniel left me speechless that night, not with some grand display, but with the quiet power of a heart choosing to love again. And because of that one night, my heart speaks louder now. So does his. And I will never forget the night my husband, Daniel, left me speechless. Not with words but with love.